specific workshops all about how do I get my foot in the door with opportunities. This could be an opportunity for a job or an internship. It could be an opportunity to get mentored by somebody, to be an apprentice. It could be an opportunity just to learn from somebody else, to start setting up informational interviews and just building your network. Either way, this is about getting your foot in the door, because networking is not a transaction. It's not about, hey, I'm reaching out to you so that you can get me this. Like, don't get me wrong. Your end goal could be to ultimately land an internship, and that absolutely can happen, but that is not how it goes about. That's not how you go about doing it. You have to build a relationship. You have to build trust with somebody. You have to build a rapport with somebody. And you know what? It might come about. They might say, hey, my company's actually looking to hire somebody, or I know this person that you should connect with, and they make an introduction, and that leads to that next opportunity. You never know how this is going to work out, but the key is that you're not expecting it from the relationship. You're coming in grateful for whatever opportunity that can come about from this relationship with your mentor, and you make the most out of it. But I just want to say that our goal is about how do we get your foot in the door? How can we help you effectively make those relationships happen and get the ball rolling for you? So to get credit for attendance during this workshop, I'll be asking you 3 questions throughout the workshop for you to answer, and post your answers to these questions in the comment sections within 24 hours of this video going live. So if you're watching the Sunday night episode of this workshop, I'll expect you to have your comments made, your answers to the questions that we post by 8 p.m. on Monday. If you're watching the Monday night version, I'll expect your answers to be posted by 8 p.m. on Tuesday. And if you're watching the Tuesday version of this workshop, I'm expecting your answers to be posted by Wednesday at 8 p.m. After that, you will not get credit. Now, I'm not looking for a comment like, hey, my name is John Doe, I'm just checking in. That won't get you credit. I'm going to ask you specific questions during the workshop that I'm going to point out and say, hey, post your answer to this question below in the comment section. That's how I know that you will be watching, paying attention, and are engaged in the workshop. So I want to set proper expectations. This program will not guarantee you an internship. It will not guarantee you a job, getting promoted faster than your peers. Having that mindset will not lead to proper results. This is not a program that hands things on a silver platter. These are for students. This program is for students that want to take their career path and their career into the next level, to their college experience to the next level, because that's absolutely what this program can do for you. If you think like, hey, I'm going to sit back, do the bare bones minimum, not really like apply myself, you know, you're going to get the outcome that you put into it. But if you really apply yourself, you absolutely can get the outcomes that you want. I mean, I like to think about it as the law of attraction. If you come in expecting negativity, you will get negativity. If you're open to the positive, you will achieve positive outcomes. You will attract positivity to what you want to achieve. So I really want to encourage you to come in with an open mind and a positive outlook for what you can achieve, and the willingness to work hard towards getting there. Students who have gone through this program have landed jobs at places like Google and other Silicon Valley companies, Wall Street investment banks, prestigious PR and marketing firms, and major engineering firms. Absolutely, yes, that has happened many times for many students. But did those outcomes get handed to them on a silver platter? Absolutely not. It's all about what you put into this program and the outcomes that you can achieve. They absolutely are there. They are absolutely possible. You have no idea how this can come about and help you out in terms of your mentor. Treat this program as fuel to help you get to where you want to be. If you're already burning and going strong, this program can really help you accelerate. Imagine just like getting dumped a bunch of gasoline on your big fire that you're already building. If you're burning barely at an ember, let this program be a sliding point, a starting point for you to launch off. But if you think and you come in with the mentality that, hey, I'm kind of doing a couple things, but I'm kind of following the status quo of like, I just go to the annual career fairs and I apply on the online website and that's pretty much it. If you're coming in with that mentality and that you're not going to try to or be willing to open up and apply and do other things to help you get your foot in the door, this program you may struggle with, because we're going to teach you a lot of things and a lot of ways that you can go about getting your foot in the door and getting opportunities for yourself that are not the normal way. That's why this program is for the students that are really interested in taking their life, their career to the next level, because these are the tips that you are not taught in school, and the experts that we bring in, the guests that we bring in to these workshops have content, insight, and wisdom that they've utilized and explained within their books, within articles, within other pieces of content they've created that they've built an expertise on. And so the point all I'm making is that this program, if you're interested in taking your life, your career, your college experience to the next level, you are in the right place. So I'm really excited to get started. Now, a couple of keynotes about mentorship. Now, when it comes to your mentor and who you are matched with, one thing that we leverage extensively is this research called work orientation, which is how you view your work. So some people view their work as a job, some people view their work as a career, some people view their work as a calling. Imagine a triangle and imagine it being a spectrum that can change throughout your life. So after you take your assessment and after you get matched with your mentor and you log into your dashboard, you can actually see your work orientation and your paired mentor's work orientation, which is really cool. Because what we've learned is when work orientation is aligned for a mentoring relationship, the likelihood that that relationship lasts for the full 6 months is considered both productive and quality by both participants increases by 400%. It's crazy how powerful work orientation is when it comes to mentor matching. If we were just to match you based on your career interest or their status within their company or their area of expertise, we know that those are only transactional metrics, and the likelihood that that relationship will last for the full 6 months and be considered both productive and quality is low, because then there's an expectation that someone's going to give you something or that you're going to give them something, and that's ultimately not how successful mentorship works. Successful mentorship works when both people can, on a human level, invest in each other, and that's how we make the matches happen. The other key thing about mentorship is vulnerability. The willingness to open up about who you are and what you want to accomplish in your story. I know that when you are more vulnerable, you are much more likely to build trust. You cannot build trust unless you've got vulnerability first. And it's up to you or your mentor to be the first person to take that step. So I want to challenge you to be the first person to take that step, to be vulnerable first. And to give you an idea of what vulnerability looks like, I will share with you my story. Now, I'm passionate about mentorship. I'm passionate about mentorship because I needed mentors in my life. From age 15 to age 19, I was a drug dealer. And at the end of my freshman year at Indiana University, I got arrested in an undercover operation by the Indiana University Police Department. And I got 5 felony distribution charges. I was expelled from school, and I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And I mean, that hit me like a brick wall. I mean, up to that point in time in life, I thought success was you go to school, you get good grades, you get a job, and then somewhere along those lines, you find yourself, like as if it were puberty, it would just come to me. But that's not how life works. And I had to learn that the hard way. Because no one who I had known, no one who I had ever known that I ever thought was successful ever was a drug dealer. And so I had to accept either being a total failure or redefine my definition of success. And so I chose the latter. So I ended up enrolling in a program in St. George, Utah, to help me turn my life around. And that's where I really got exposed to the power of mentorship, both on a personal level and a professional level. On a personal level, really having personal mentors, people that are there for you, are so powerful. I don't want to ever discredit that, because I feel like sometimes when we're here, we're thinking about our professional outcomes, we don't realize how valuable mentors can be on our personal level and really what they can do for us. Because if they help you open your mind to what you can accomplish in your career or what you can accomplish as a person and who you can emulate your life after, they can really show you something that you didn't actually even believe in yourself that you could accomplish. And I think that's so powerful. And that's really what they did for me. But on a professional level, they helped me really come to the grips with the fact that when you Google search my name when I was 19 years old, the first thing you saw was IUPD does drug sweeps for 8. And I'm one of the 8. I mean, there could not have been a bigger red X across my name when applying for any role. I mean, could you imagine that? Literally, any role I would apply for, I would have showed up with a big red flag. That is bad. So about a month after living in Utah, I flew back to Chicago. That's where my family's from, for the weekend to let them know my life's getting on track. On that flight, I'm sitting next to a guy. We start talking. He starts sharing with me about his life. I start sharing with him about my life. We hit it off. I take a keen interest in him. I'm actively listening. I'm sharing. I'm really trying to put myself into his shoes. And I'm really, most importantly, actively listening. I'm taking down notes. I'm following up on the things that he has to say. I'm really digging into his world because he loves to talk about himself. And I'm really playing into that. Well, it turns out he's the director of ground equipment for SkyWest Airlines. And by the time that plane lands, he offers me an internship on the spot doing financial analysis for SkyWest Airlines. Boom. Like right on the spot. What an amazing experience. I mean, he took me under his wing. He didn't care about my background. He didn't care about what I had gone through or where I was going or the fact that I may even go to prison sometime in the next year. He took me under his wing and gave me a shot. And that was huge. And that's really where the whole idea for Ambition in Motion came from, was like the fact that opportunities could come out of the blue, that they didn't come from just applying on a website and people putting your resume in a background check system and that, maybe you get spit out with this opportunity. I learned that opportunities could come from just putting myself out there, being vulnerable, and taking a keen interest in somebody else and actively listening to them. And so I think that's such an important story to share with you because it shows, my vulnerability, but two, it shows that opportunities can come from a wide array of places, and it doesn't matter where you're coming from, it matters where you're going. And if you believe that you can achieve what you want to achieve, you absolutely can achieve it, but you have to put in the work to go and get there, and you have to be willing to be vulnerable with people. Don't hold all your failures, your mistakes close to the chest because you think people will judge you. Put them out into the world because ultimately people will give you opportunities and they will believe in you if you let them. So that's something that's extremely important and extremely helpful for this workshop. Now that I've shared my story with you, I am excited for you to embark on your mentor relationship, and I hope that me being vulnerable with you, maybe it inspired you to be vulnerable with your mentor. Hopefully it gave you the confidence to be comfortable with your mentor, and at minimum, hopefully it just gave you the confidence to be comfortable with yourself and who you are and where you want to be and where you're going. Now, for this mentor program, there are 3 keys to success in this program. That is honing your strategy, your story, and your state. Now, I said those in reverse order of importance. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit about why each one of these are so important in terms of being successful in this program. In terms of your story, in terms of your state is your physical being, your physiology. Like, how are you physically right now? Are you like in a peak state? Are you ready to go? Are you jumped up, pumped up, ready to jam? Are you coming into this mentor meeting like, man, I'm about to take on the world and I'm ready to go. I'm excited. I'm amped up. Or are you hunched over? Are you in a bad body language, bad posture, in a bad mood? Something bad happened during the day. You're tired, exhausted, stressed out, whatever. If you're coming in with a negative state, I can promise you're going to have a bad relationship. Your first impression is everything. Your first impression is everything. If you come in a negative attitude because you've had a bad day, I can promise you the relationship is not going to get off to where you want it to be. But if you come in with high energy, you come in like, hey, I'm pumped, I'm excited to learn from you, I'm excited to learn your story, I'm excited to ask you questions, I'm excited to share knowledge with you and have you ask me questions, I'm excited for this relationship to begin. If you come in with that mentality, you will have a great and positive first impression. Now, there's a couple ways that you can go about doing this. One way, and my favorite way to go about getting yourself into a peak state physiologically, is to get up, shake it loose, and yell at the top of your lungs. I know it sounds crazy to do something like this, but I want you to do it right now while you're watching this video. I don't care if you're in your dorm room. I don't care if you're in your house. I don't care where you're at. I want you to stand up, and I want you to shake it loose. I want you to shimmy. I want you to let it go. I want you to scream at the top of your lungs. Just go, yeah! Just let it loose. Let it out. Let it go. Because here's the thing, when you do this, you're releasing endorphins in your brain that make you feel excited, that make you feel energized, that make you feel good, that make you feel confident, that make you feel like I am here and ready to take on the world. And when you do this, you get yourself into a state ready to be in a good mood, to leave a good impression. So I don't care what's going on with your world. If you get yourself into a state physiologically conducive to being successful, get your body language on point, you are going to be successful. Promises on that. The next key is your story. So what is the story that you tell yourself? If you tell yourself a story like, oh man, I'm an introvert, so I couldn't possibly be good at networking, or I couldn't possibly be good at socializing or being around other people. Or if you tell yourself, I'm an extrovert, I'm crazy around people, I can't even handle it right now, I'm nuts. I can't even contain myself when I'm around people. I'm just like a blabbermouth. I have word vomit. I just let things fly like crazy. If you tell yourself these stories for why you will or won't be successful, that will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So back to what I was talking about when I said the law of attraction. If you believe that you can be good at something, you will be good at something. I promise you that. But the key is you have to believe it. And the second thing is you have to practice it, because networking is a skill, like shooting a basketball or knitting a quilt. The more you practice, the better you get. So if you think, oh man, I'm an introvert or I'm an extrovert, which makes me bad at networking, you're not going to practice networking, which is going to reinforce you being bad at networking. But if you work at it, if you practice, if you use this mentor program to meet with your mentor, someone who's got like of no consequence to you, like if you, God forbid, mess up this relationship with your mentor, what is the worst that happens? This was a total stranger that you've never met before this moment. Now all of a sudden you're building this relationship. Why not give it a shot? Because here's the thing. If it ends up working out great, it gives you the confidence to start reaching out to more people and building a better rapport with more people and building your network. And then all of a sudden you can become better at networking. You can be better at building relationships with other people. And you can be better at learning opportunities when they arise and getting your foot in the door. So the point I'm making here is, what is the story you tell yourself? What is the thing that you've got in your mind for why you will or will not be successful? And the key here is that if you do have something positive in your mind, I promise you, you are going to be much more likely to manifest that outcome for yourself. And the last key is the strategy. So what are the strategies that you are going to leverage to help you getting your foot in the door for an opportunity? Now, here's something that I like to do. I like to implement new routines every single month, because what it does is it helps me get into powerful habits. Now, some of them stick, some of them don't stick. Some of them take, a while to stick. Some of them take practice, and that's okay. But the key is that you have to start. And so one thing that I would love for you to start doing in terms of a strategy to help you build a strong routine that will help you start getting your foot in the door is if you don't have a LinkedIn profile account, get a LinkedIn profile account. LinkedIn is a powerful tool. It's so powerful. Well, then once you've gotten a LinkedIn profile account, I want you to connect with 10 new people in your field, not just 10 new friends or whatever. If you're just starting your LinkedIn account, friend request everybody. Get as many as you can. In fact, you should really try to get above 500 plus LinkedIn connections, because once you're there, you are much more in the LinkedIn algorithm likely to get recommended by other people in terms of connecting with them. But more importantly, I want you to connect with 10 new people in your field of interest. So if you want to get into banking, connect with 10 bankers. If you want to get into marketing, connect with 10 marketers. If you want to get into engineering, connect with 10 engineers. Connect with 10 new people every single week. And it's a really easy thing to do. Send them a personalized message. Say, hey, Jane Doe, I'm a student studying XYZ category. I'm really interested in your work, and I'm interested in potentially pursuing a career in this path. I would love to connect and maybe learn a little bit more about your work, your name. It's the simplest message. And in fact, if you go on the tips and templates tab on the AIM dashboard, you can actually see a copy and pastable link that you can literally copy and paste to help you send this message out to other professionals on LinkedIn. But if you can get into the habit of sending 10 new people a connection request every single week, I promise you, you are going to start meeting with some of these people, and this could open up doors that maybe weren't even there or you didn't even realize were possible. I strongly encourage that. 70% of all job offers go to somebody who knows somebody at that company, not from just applying blindly on a college career website. I promise you that. 70% of jobs go to someone who knows someone at that company. So if you can build relationships with somebody at that company, your resume will go to the top because you were a referral, not a random stranger who applied. Build your network. So one thing that I love to do, and by the way, we're about to get started into our guest speaker, but one thing that I love to do before, to really reinforce what we're talking about, one thing that we've learned is teaching something to somebody else. So think about something that you've learned within these first few minutes of this workshop so far, or something that you will learn through our guest speaker in this workshop. I want you to think about that, and I want you to teach it to somebody else, something that you learned. And the reason why this is so powerful is because learning something in a workshop is amazing. I mean, sure, I'm on here, I'm on this video, and that's great. That's all. That's amazing. That's fine and dandy. But if you go back to bed, or if you're like, oh, that was cool, I kind of took a note, whatever, like that might stick, but the likelihood that it actually sticks increases exponentially when you teach it to somebody else. So find a friend, find a stranger, find somebody, and teach them something that you learned this evening, and I promise you it will reinforce substantially more in your brain. You are much more likely to adopt the habits that you are learning. You're much more likely to apply the skills that you are gaining. So that is the key thing that I really want to stress with you from this workshop. So I'm really excited to jump into our guest speaker, because we've got a great one for you this evening. I'm excited for you to learn from our guest.
Hey everybody, I'm so excited to dive into a workshop here for us to talk about how to get our foot in the door for professional opportunities. So you're probably a college student, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, I got to get a job, I got to get an internship, I got to figure out what I'm going to do professionally, and just, what are ways that we can go about getting our foot in the door that sets ourselves apart, because there's a lot of students vying for, a finite number of roles and positions. Fortunately, we've got a great leader with us here today. We've got Mario Robles. Mario is part of our executive mastermind group and is someone that I've worked with for quite a while and has great insights and just how to get your foot in the door for professional opportunities. But Mario, I would love to, learn from you. How did you land your very first job out of college? What did you do to set yourself apart? How did you go about getting your foot in the door for that opportunity? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is being part of a network, some whether it be at your universities, being part of culture, any clubs. I was part of international club. I was part of, young professionals. There was the Hispanic associations. I was part of a lot of associations. So I think that's a huge part of being able to talk to mentors, always looking for mentors, and then from there being able to get connected with people because at the end of the day it's really who you know in the real world.
No, I love that. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think for a lot of students, it can be eye-opening to realize that like your GPA really only matters so much after college. Like it isn't really like maybe you're for that first job, maybe it matters a
Mhm.
little bit. Like it's like as long as you're above a certain GPA threshold, that's kind of what employers are looking for. But then outside of that, like it's pretty much who you know. And
Mhm.
so you brought up a great point of going to networking events or going to different clubs. When you say mentors are there, are you saying like professionals would come back and maybe give a presentation or talk about their careers? Like what were some of those like networking opportunities like?
Yeah, so the one that comes to mind, there was one called Adelante, and I mean, it's geared towards Hispanic students, but it was professionals that would volunteer their time to speak to students about um, their experiences in the workplace. And a lot of what I'm saying right now is what they would tell us, right? You got to go out and get out of your comfort zone, right? Like these opportunities are going to land on your lap. If you are, you're very lucky, but it's you got to go out there and you got to go meet people and asking people that, let's say you want to do something, it's easier for you to ask that person. Like if you know for a fact, hey, this person is what I want to be or what I want to do, ask them, right? Ask them, and for the most part, people are willing to help you out. And I think it's just the fear of the ask, like, oh, I don't know if they have time but you'd be surprised. People want you to succeed, right? Especially if they were helped themselves. So everyone's trying to give back. You just need to ask, right? There's a power of the ask that comes with it.
Yeah, I think it can be I think a lot of students are intimidated by that. So maybe they know of networking groups, maybe they know of like student orgs and clubs and stuff like that. And there'll be like a professionals day where someone comes out and be like one professional in a group of like 50 students in a crowd. And you might think like, oh, everybody else is reaching out to this person. They don't want to hear from me. And I would care to argue that the vast majority of students have that mentality and then nobody reaches out to that professional. So
Exactly.
give yourself a shot. So I guess, you know what, let me take a moment to ask the students a
Mhm.
question real quick. Post in the comment section, what can you do at your next student club organization, especially one where there's a professional coming in that's speaking? What can you do to build a relationship with professionals that are coming in to speak to you, whether it be in a classroom, in a student club, whatever it may be? Post in the comment section. I want to learn. Um, what you can do and what you're going to do to build a relationship with those speakers that are coming in. And by the way, it doesn't have to, you don't have to wait for one person. This isn't like a finite, networking isn't this finite thing. I think a lot of times students are like, oh, well, I'm looking at the docket of the agenda and like these speakers are pretty interesting, but there's one that I'm really, really interested. So if I only, it's not like you have it's not like The Bachelor or Bachelorette where you only have one rose to give out to this
Mhm.
person to network with. You can give a rose out to everybody. Like you can reach out to every single person that's coming in to speak. You can build a relationship with them. You definitely have the time, and you never know where the conversation can go and lead you.
Yes, absolutely. I think yeah, I mean it is the power of the numbers, right? The more you go out and it takes practice, right? And part of it is you're getting yourself out there and um like they say, right, the your network is your net worth, right? So as you go into the professional world, you start realizing that even within companies, when you first start your first job, you have to go out there and make a name for yourself, right? And that's through the connections that you make internally. and of course externally, right, outside of the work. So very important.
On this note, what is the most creative way a student has ever approached you about finding time to connect with you?
So I'm part of Texas Young's professional group here out of Austin, Texas. There's a few chapters all over Texas, but we have college students that go, we have new grads, and we have professionals all in the same group. And I think the most creative is just um, this young lady came to me and said, she had recently well, she had some internships that were kind of falling off and she was applying for jobs and I was able to connect her. Well, she was very vulnerable and I told her, you know what, I can connect you with someone. And it's just the ask. It was just as simple as that. She was looking for a marketing role. I connected her with an entrepreneur that has a marketing company and they were able to connect via LinkedIn, and that was part of it. And from that, she gained the experience of, hey, it's okay to ask for help, right? Not everyone is out there, getting jobs, right? Especially right now with the market, right? Markets fluctuate all the time, so you can't be waiting for that opportunity. You got to go get it.
Yeah, that's a great story. And kudos to you for being willing to make that intro. I think that's really, really huge. I think you never know unless you ask. And I mean, if I could take it one step further, because most of these students hopefully have LinkedIn's by now. On LinkedIn, a lot of people have their profiles open where you can see who they're connected with. And the
Hmm.
reason why that's important is if you click on who they're connected with, you can identify maybe one, two, or three people you'd like to get introduced to. You're much more likely to get that introduction. Because if you just say, hey, I'm looking for a marketing internship, well, shoot, good for you, Mario, for having someone in mind, like right off the bat. But if I'm busy and I just don't have the time to like really weed through my network as to who would be a good intro, like it's hard for me to make that intro. But if you say, Garrett, I noticed that you're connected with person A, person B, and person C, would you be open to making an intro to any one of those people? I am looking for a marketing internship and I think they'd be great people for me to chat with. For sure. Yeah, that's easy. You've done the homework for me. I know person B
Yes.
really well. I'll make an intro right away.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, especially if you're going into, you want to make it as easy as possible for that and that person you're trying to connect with, right? You want to make sure that you make it easier, like you said. Hey, who do I know from your network, right? In this case, let's say you, Garrett, that can you connect me with, right? That's a lot easier than please, like, please, you lead me the right way. The way that she did it really well done. She was like, hey, this is what I did. This is what I'm looking for. And that made it easy for me to think of someone that I could connect her with, right? So being prepared, not just asking, right?
No, I love that. So, what's your advice for students who have a fear of rejection? I think like that's a big thing a lot of students are going through is they're like, "Cool, okay, Mario, like I get this concept of just asking for people, but like, you know, what if they say no or what if they don't respond or like what if like I'm trying to think of like the worst possible thing ever where it's like I can't believe you would even ask me for these introductions. Not only am I not going to make it, I'm going to call up your university and make sure that you immediately get unenrolled and all of your credits become null and void. And I don't know, I'm trying to think of the worst possible thing possible that like students could come up with in their mind. By the way, what I'm saying, students, not a real thing, doesn't happen.
Yeah, fear of rejection is real. I mean, I to this day, I have fear of rejection, right? Meeting someone that I look up to or that I want to meet. But that's something that you really have to get over it. I mean, it is. There's really no easy way to get over that. It's just practice. You just have to continue to do it. Again, finding a good mentor, someone that's in your corner, someone that's supporting you on that. And again, people are willing to help, but you got to ask, right? And you also want to be cognizant of their time, making sure that you're making it easy for them, right? You're not bugging them all the time either, right? But fear of rejection, I mean, everyone has that fear of rejection. It doesn't go away. You just get better at kind of putting that fear aside and just doing it.
And not only that, but I think like there's also a healthy amount of like what value could you potentially bring to them? and they may not have realized. And one example I can give is I put on these events called executive symposiums, and I remember in the early days, I always wanted to do them at like a really cool car company, like a Lamborghini or a Porsche or a Ferrari or whatever. And I would call these big dealerships up, and like I would get no response, or I'd be told to kick rocks, but I'd always keep doing it. And eventually something turned where I'm like, hey, I'm going to bring 150 senior executives who can afford to buy one of your vehicles to your showroom. You don't get that money. You don't get that much foot traffic in a given month. I could bring it in a night. Would you all be willing to host me? And bada bing, bada boom. You get Lamborghini to host you, and it's a really good time. And it's pretty cool to see something like that happen. And so I guess the point I'm getting at is like you can ask and you can ask multiple times. And I think like if the way you position yourself is from a portion or a purpose of like I have something to offer that is of value to you, and I'd be like I'm giving something to you just as much as you're helping me out. I think there could be something there. And I think a lot of students are like, oh, well, what value do I have? And like the value you have is it could be for a variety of reasons. Maybe some new technology that you better understand, like especially like AI.
Yes.
I think a lot of maybe older business professionals may not be fully aware as to the benefits of AI that you as college students are probably learning about like all the time right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think when I've mentored younger professionals or in that mentee, the one-on-one mentee, you're always going to learn something, right? And that's why it's good to connect with younger, older, any age, um, any connection that you make. Always have a growth mindset. And that's something that I feel more students need to remember. When school's over, school's just a part of the education. The biggest part of education is the real world. Um, yes, it's great to have, like you said, the GPAs, to have the accolades that come with your school, but having a growth mindset is going to take you further because that's going to make you more curious whenever you do talk to a mentor or whenever you have that conversation. Curiosity is going to really drive that, and that's going to feed the mentor as well, right? Because you're curious.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, curiosity, let's put it like this. People care more about themselves than they care about you.
Mhm.
And so if you can show that you care about somebody else, like I think the saying is people are interesting because they're interested. If
Yes.
you are someone who's interested, you become interesting.
Yes. Mhm.
Dale Carnegie, everyone likes to talk about themselves.
Absolutely.
So, Mario, tell me, I'd love to know a story. What is like the most creative way you've ever gotten your foot in the door for a professional opportunity?
Well, I got to say that I have never gotten a job without me first knowing someone at a company. The reason I am proud of that is because it is true, the world is who you know, and that might not be fair, right? But the world isn't fair, unfortunately. Um, but I would say the best foot in the door, I guess, was my my coworker at a company that I work for. His wife connected me with the CEO, right? And it was just, she thought I would be a good fit for her company, or the company she worked at, and she introduced me to CEO, and we hit it off, and that's how I was able to get hired on. But I mean, creativity, it just comes. When I say creativity, I say it's more of you just have to be willing to take opportunities and run with them, right? If there's an opportunity, you got to take it, right? And in this case, it worked out. I worked at that company for 6 years, and one of the best experiences I've ever had, right?
I love it. I love stories like that. I want to share a story that I think is relevant to getting your foot in the door. So, as part of our higher ed mentor program, we have mentors, and one of our mentors, this was probably 5, 6 years ago, um, owned his own company. It's a pool company down in Florida, probably around 400, 500 employees, so good size. And at the time, we were doing mentor programs for companies. And I called him up and I said, hey, Bill, I'd love to, chat with you about, running a mentor program for your company. And Bill's an older guy. He's maybe in his 70s or something like that. He's like, oh, we do enough for our people. We don't need a mentor program. All those sorts of things. I'm like, okay, hey, totally hey, it's if it's not a fit, it's not a fit. He's like, but my wife Kim, she runs the mentor, all of our engagement stuff. She runs all of it. So you know what, you're gonna run it by her anyways. But I almost a 99% positive she's gonna tell you no, and that we got enough stuff going on. I'm like, you know what, that you're probably right. But for funsies and just for fun, what's her number? I'll give her a ring, see what she says. He gives me her number, I give her a call. She was like, "Oh my gosh, we could totally use a mentor program." Like it was just like the turn of COVID. She was like, "We could use this. Our people are going remote right now. This is like a really tough time. Business is also booming because remember pools, COVID, no one's going on vacation. Everybody's putting in a pool." So
That's true.
she's like, "Yeah, like we need this. We're growing like crazy." And so they ended up becoming one of our very largest. They ended up becoming our largest client, like that, at the time we had ever had. And so you never know what might happen. And you might encounter someone that says, "Oh, well, I don't think we need this," or "I don't think they'd be interested in making a hiring decision, but like our hiring manager is this person. Here's their number." Give them a call. You never know because the person who you've been chatting with, you may thinks knows everything in the scenario, but you never know. And you
You
just
never
reach
know.
out and all they could say is no. But maybe they say yes.
Yeah, that's the way that life goes, right? The journey. How many times have you regretted not asking for something or not doing something, and then you later hear it would have been the greatest time? And how many times have you done something that you said, "No, I'm not gonna do that," and then you actually go through with it, and it was like the best experience, right? And that means you maybe met a person or you met, a new friend or all these little serendipitous things are part of life. And I think coming out of college, you do have to take these risks. You do have to go meet out these people, be out there because it's a very competitive world, right? And you really have to stand out.
So let me ask the students a question real quick. Students, post in the comment section, what are you going to commit to doing this week to get your foot in the door for an opportunity? This could be reaching out to somebody on LinkedIn. This could be giving someone a call. This could be sending someone an email. What are you willing to commit to this week to get your foot in the door for an opportunity? And ideally, if it's like a LinkedIn message or an email or even a call, you do at least 5 separate ones because the first one you try may not work. And that's okay. But if you do 5, hopefully one of them gets back to you, at least one of them. But I'd love to know, post in the comments, what are you willing to do this week to get your foot in the door for a professional opportunity, whatever it may be? So, Mario, what resources can students leverage to have informational interviews with professionals? Not like interview professional interviews, but like informational interviews, just kind of gathering, what their work is like.
I think what you just said is perfect, right? The beauty of LinkedIn, when I was coming out of college, LinkedIn was just starting. And there was few professionals, and throughout the years it's grown to where it is now, where you're able to do a lot better filter people in within that within the platform. So definitely, I mean, it's not cold outreach, but you reach out to people that are maybe they went to your university, right? That are in a job um, that you want to be in, or your company that you want to be in. Connecting just by saying, "Hey, I'm from X university, right? I'd love to learn what you do, and really get your feedback on a recent grad, and just be very intentional in that ask, and also be humble, right? Being as a way of like, I'm just trying to learn, trying to grow myself and be a professional. That's going to go a long way, and people are going to really want to go out their way and help you out.
Why? Why are professionals inclined to wanting to help out a college student?
Because nobody gets to the top by themselves. It's not like your movies. It's not like those. They all had to have someone that touched them in a way that, whether it be through mentorships or through the connection that got them through to where they are, right? And if the person doesn't want to help you, that's okay. That just means maybe it's not the right person. You don't want to talk to them in anyways, right? Maybe they're just a person that's negative. I don't know, whatever or maybe they're going through something. They don't have the right time, but that's okay. Maybe they're not worth it.
Yeah.
But I will say that the majority of people are willing to help.
Yeah. And, maybe they're busy and they're busy at this season of life, not necessarily always down the line. I
Yes.
think yeah, don't write it off. Like, if someone rebuffs you at this juncture, it does not mean that they hate you or that they're not interested. It just means that they're not interested right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of just kind of like, cool, take your lumps as they are, move on, meet with other people. Don't put anybody on a pedestal. Don't be like, I need to meet with this one
Yes.
person. Like, if you put someone on a pedestal, there's no quicker way to messing up that conversation. In fact, you know, this something might sound crazy, but treating someone as just like a normal human, like as if you have no idea what the professional accolades are or really anything else, will probably go a whole lot longer of a way for you to build a relationship with them than if you like revere them. And here's my, I guess, controversial take. Anybody who's like, did you Google search me? Have you looked at my background? Do you know who I am? Probably not a great person to meet with because their ego is just enormous
Yeah.
and getting over that is going to be too tough to handle. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is treating people like people in a respectful manner, but not in like their superhero manner, I think is going to go a long way in terms of driving positive results and helping you get positive results with your network.
Yeah, that's I call that with or without you energy, right? Hey, whether it's with you, like I appreciate if you give me some time, but if you don't, that's okay, right? I'm still gonna go make it happen, right? And I think it's there's a sense of energy, like you said, it's controversial, might be controversial, but it's with or without you energy. Like that like you said, it opens up like, oh yeah, this person is willing to learn and willing to grow. Yeah, I'm gonna take some time out of my day to meet with them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And ultimately, I just think a lot of professionals love the idea of helping students. And so I think like the one way you could even help propose it is just you could say like, hey, Jane, or hey, John, I'm a current college student at XYZ University. I'm interested in pursuing a career in whatever they do. I noticed that, you're doing this type of work. I would love to learn more about what that work is like. Would you be open to meeting with me? And you don't actually need to meet with the top dog of an organization. You can meet with someone who's on the ground level, the ground floor. And not only is that a cool idea, but a lot of organizations will give pretty good sized bonuses to those who refer others in for roles. So if you impress them in that meeting, to Mario, your point of you never landed any job that you didn't know somebody already at the organization, if you leave a positive impression and they're like, you seem awesome, you're graduating in 2 years, you keep them updated about your status, how things are going, blah, 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 blah. And then you say, maybe you follow up with them, it's like you're getting closer to your graduation, like, hey, Jane or John or whatever their name is, like, is there an opportunity at your organization? I'd love to, see if I might be able to get my foot in the door. And they say, as a matter of fact, there is. Let me throw you through the referral system, put your resume at the top of the stack. You should also know that if you get hired, they're going to get probably like 1 to 5 grand, which is great. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's an amazing thing. It's like they get a bonus because you got the job. And it was a whole lot cheaper for them to pay their colleague 1 to 5 grand than to pay a recruiter 20 or 30% of your first year starting salary. So yeah, it's a good deal all around for everybody involved.
Absolutely.
So Mario, are there any final thoughts or any final suggestions that you've got for students in terms of getting their foot in the door?
I think we've touched on pretty much everything that I had to that comes to mind. I think it's just being yourself is very important. And I mean, there's the professional side, right? Obviously, but don't forget who you are. I think people really respect you more when you're not trying to be someone else, right? Yes, you're trying to grow, but being that be a sense of like a balance of humility, but also drive and hunger is very important. And just being yourself, right? Eh, you're gonna fail. I mean, that's part of the game. Like failure it comes to everyone at any point in life, and you just have to pick yourself back up and keep going.
No, I love that. That's great. Students, one last question. Post in the comments section. Um, what is a role that you're genuinely curious about? Post in the comments section. What is a company that you're genuinely curious about, or what is a role that you're genuinely curious about? Post in the comments section. And I think this will parlay nicely with that other question I asked you about, like, what is something you can commit to doing in terms of just getting out there? Because by acknowledging or recognizing, like, what's a role or what's a company that you're interested in learning more about, that can help you filter for who you reach out to. But anyways, Mario, this has been a great workshop. How can our students stay in touch with you? Are you okay with them sending you a LinkedIn connection?
Absolutely. You can look for me at you Google LinkedIn dash M Robles, Robles. You'll be able to connect with me, Mario Robles, LinkedIn. Um, Reach out to me. However I can help you, whether it's a connection or mentorship, I'm always open to give back to students and give back to the community.
I love it. Well, Mario, thank you for your time. Students, thank you for your time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.